Thank you. That is brilliant. So yes, hi all and welcome to Ramsbourne Community Church all-age service. So number 6 of the year. That's crazy. But we are continuing to our look through David, and he's now king. He has been fighting lots. He's come a long way from being that youngest of his brothers and a shepherd boy. You will be pleased to know I have no new sheep stories. I've not come across any sheep in this last month, which I'm quite glad about, to be honest. But he had faced many battles up to this point. His first one was with Goliath, which we looked at in Lego Church yesterday. So I thought we'd have some of our beautiful different interpretations of David and Goliath. So this is like cyborg David. I mean, this one's just fab. I love this one. I know. And then we've got like very tall David, very tall Goliath. So we had such a good time. And then I did have to do Sue's because Sue and Joshua and Asher's. So we've got number 1, God and David. So. And then this other one I'm going to mention about in a little bit. But yeah, we had a great time at Lego Church. And if you've got any friends, family you want to invite along, that would be fab. We had a brilliant time. And we also reenacted David and Goliath. So we confused matters by David becoming Goliath, which confused me. But he made an excellent Goliath and died very, very well. And didn't take any children out on his way down. So that's always a bonus. But David, not my David, King David, then had lots of challenges. He was chased down by King Saul, who wanted to kill him. David made a close friendship with Saul's son, who helped to save David's life. And I think friends are really important, and they can help us in so many ways. Maybe at school, at home, friends who are close by or far away. And friends combat loneliness. And I'm so grateful for my friends and those I can just be myself with and share how I'm feeling. But sometimes we might paint a smile on when we go to some places. It might be school, it might be a club that we go to, or maybe even we paint a smile when we come to church because we don't know who we can open up to. But as we're going to look into a bit further today, we have a best friend in Jesus, and we can share everything with God because he knows us inside and out. Something I've been learning since working in my current job is how many people know different people. And then also starting MIT, like everyone knows Steve and Angela. It's just like, yeah, you know them. And I thought the NHS was bad for being intertwined with different people and knowing people. But it just like, you can't do anything without someone finding out. But not that I do, obviously. But David certainly had a way with words, and he wrote so many psalms and songs. He was a talented musician and played the lyre, the harp-type instrument. And I loved looking at the way we praise last month and how it's individual to each of us. And it's not how we look, but what we're feeling and our relationship with God and the intention behind it. And how we praise, and how David said he would become even more undignified than this in 2 Samuel 6 verse 22. So this is where we're up to. And after David brought the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem, David then is given a time of rest from his enemies. And today we're going to look at 2 Samuel 7. David was given a time of rest. Who here needs a time of rest? Yeah, who here? Yeah, and so I think David was struggling a bit with this idea of rest. He'd been on the go for many years to get to where he was now. He'd fought off and won many battles, and now he didn't need to. He'd been in hiding. He'd raised armies to support him in battle. He'd become king over the whole of Israel, and now it was time to rest. God was giving permission to rest. God was giving space to rest. But David had an idea. Who else has one of those ideas which just seem amazing and absolutely, definitely from God, not of a sleep-deprived 30-something-year-old who has another crazy idea? But no, David thought he had a great idea. This idea, and the thinking behind it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't for David to do. He had the idea to build a temple for God. He felt guilty that he now had a palace built of cedar, which was expensive type of wood. And it was brought from lots of different places around Jerusalem. So we've got a picture here. It's obviously not an actual picture, but it's an artist's interpretation and gives a really good idea of like how imposing and how huge it was and how it kind of stood above everything. And, you know, what David really struggled was that the ark remained in a tent, the Ark of the Covenant. And now, I did a bit of research around the tent, and it appears that David's tent for the ark was not like Moses's. Moses was based on the blueprint that's so elaborately explained and written in Exodus, and had the tabernacle, which was huge, like this, like huge, and with the tents. And that's why I kept this bit of Lego, because my godson made lots of tents out of Lego. I would pick it up, but it'll probably fall apart and then I'll be in trouble. But come and have a look after. The tabernacle was huge and there was loads of different parts. You can see the interpretation of God in the center in the Holy of Holies. But it was massive, absolutely massive. And also, when I was on Facebook a while ago, I think this says what I look for, someone had actually built a life-size model of the tabernacle. That must have taken a few days to do. But David's tent, no, was much simpler. And it appears to have just been a covering for the ark and was temporary until the temple was built. So David wanted God to have a special place, a home. And he spoke to Nathan, who was a prophet, and served David throughout his reign. Nathan had to have some tricky conversations with David. He was trusted what God wanted him to without making it nicer to hear. Maybe we have those friends that you'd really like them to be a bit fluffy and tell you that, that, no, don't worry, it'll be okay, but actually tell you it straight. And that's what Nathan was like with David. Nathan was true to God, but also true to David. So after David had shared his idea, Nathan had said, go for it. Well, not quite. He said, because the Lord is with you, whatever you have in mind, go ahead and do it, for the Lord's with you. David had been super busy and wasn't ready to rest just yet. We might not have done all those things, but have we been at school, doing our clubs, raising a family, balancing work and other commitments, and trying to maintain friendships and family relationships? Is that something more we might relate to? What I love is that I have some friends who I know are always there, and we get so busy that we forget to stay in touch. Absolutely not looking at someone in front of me. But I know if I need something, I can message, and we might not respond, but it will be seen, and she'll be praying, and vice versa. I think there is so much going on for so many people at the moment, both personally, globally, that it can all feel very overwhelming. What can we do to overcome all the news that bombards us on the TV or via social media? Do we keep ourselves busy to fill the gaps? Or do we take time to step back and focus on God? These two responses really remind me of the story of Mary and Martha, a story that might be familiar to you, but these two sisters were visited by Jesus, and we find it in Luke 10:38. So I'm going to read you it from Bob Hartman's book, and I do have Kat, if you'd be able to come up and be my Jesus. So, wait a sec, let me find where I'm going. Oh, no, that's... It's not fair, moaned Martha. It's just not fair. I've cleaned the house from top to bottom, scrubbed the floor till my fingers hurt. But all my sister Mary does is sit there and talk to Jesus. It's not right, moaned Martha. It's just not right. I've plucked the chickens and baked the bread and sweated for hours over a hot stove. But all my sister Mary does is sit there and talk to Jesus. It won't do. No, it won't do, moaned Martha. It just won't do. Mopping up, washing up, tidying up. I've done it all and I'm fed up. Because all my sister Mary does is sit and talk to Jesus.
Martha.
Died Jesus.
Martha, my friend, I'm glad you've invited me to your house. The place is spotless, the food was delicious, but you mustn't be angry with with Mary, your sister, for she has made the right choice. Cooking and cleaning and washing up are important, but sometimes it's better to put away your brushes and cloths to rest and sit and talk to me.
Amazing. Thank you. So that story, I love that story. David asked me what's my favourite story in the Bible. I was like, it's probably that one. But who do you identify with? It's not wrong to be either, because hospitality is so important. But sometimes does it maybe distract you from what you need to be doing? Or might need to be prioritising? I'm absolutely not judging anyone, because I bet you can imagine and all guess who I see myself in. If you're happy, can you raise your hand if you're a Martha? Just want to get on and make everything right for everyone. Or maybe being the husband or the son who does the jobs that need doing and probably those that don't need doing. So I am a Martha. Or are you a Mary? You find that time to sit at Jesus' feet and listen, taking time to soak in the word of God. I do think, equally no, we can be a mix of the two. And it very much depends on the circumstances. And I'm also going to make this very clear, not saying you always to be a Mary and not tidy your bedroom or do the washing up, okay? So don't go away from here saying that Amelia said that that's what you've got to do, because that is not what I said. So sometimes life is super busy, but can we sometimes maybe make life even busier? Maybe we might wear being busy like a badge, something to be proud of. Do people see us for our busyness, and does it become a barrier, or is it in the still when we're most available to God and others? I will always precede messages to people at work with, I know you're super busy, but... And I wonder if people don't come to me because of different things I might be doing. I've got a picture here of loads of different things. Which one are you drawn to? So have a look. What have we got? We've got lots of things. I have tried to pick out things that people, that I know people like cats. So we've got cats, we've got family, we've got a disco ball, if you're a Strictly fan. We've got dogs, cars, we've got vinyl, we've got football boots. We've got the sun. I mean, the one that I like is the beach. I'd like to be at the beach now. Dancing shoes, friends, the hard cross. We've got a drum kit. David made me double it and make it as big as ants, so it's about the right size. And we've just got loads of different things. So, anyone want to share what attracts them? Which one? Anyone? Yes, Brian. The car. Awesome. The horse. Awesome, yes. The horse, I was like, I'm going to have to make it small enough because it's a bit, I don't like horses. I'm a bit scared of them, but awesome, horses. The sea, yes, I could just go in for a dip there now. But amazing. So all of these things are different, and I can probably guess. Oh, sorry, Jacob. Football boots, amazing. Theo, which one? Football boots as well, yes. Lanny, have you got one? No, that's okay. Awesome. So yeah, football boots. And because I know some of the people here, I knew what ones they would probably go for, so I made sure. But what is the thing with this? It's not, we're all different. And we're all naturally drawn to different things based on our hobbies, our experiences. And I think I could probably guess quite a few of them, as I've just said. But I know that because I've spent time with people, I've made time to get to know people. And David spent time with God and getting to know him. His heart was for God. Mary spent time at Jesus' feet, listening and soaking in his presence. Someone shared a reflection at work about being busy and challenged us not to use that word, but rethink it and shape what does being busy really mean. It's individual to each person, but I remember the shock of rushing from one thing to another to finding ourselves in March 2020. It was funny that Steve shared that video of Helen's from the lockdown this week on Facebook. Everything just seemed to stop. And I know lots of people continue to work me included, and it was an awful time for many. But a lot of things that kept us so busy weren't there anymore. I remember saying to myself, and as a family, I am not going to get to that point anymore. Maybe I need to have some self-reflection is required at this point, but where is our balance between running around like a headless chicken and doing nothing? But also, where does God fit in that spectrum? Where should he fit? Maybe we could take some time to pause and pray, as we've spoken about at one of the other all-age services. But if we go back to David and 2 Samuel 7, after his great plan that he has shared with Nathan, the prophet, to build a house for the Lord, Nathan hears from the Lord and tells David that it is not for David to build a house. This is not God's plan for David. But what he says is that he will give David rest from his enemies. The Bible verse is up there if you want to read along. So the Lord declares to you that the Lord himself will establish a house for you. When your days are over and you'll rest with your ancestors, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, your own flesh and blood, and I will establish his kingdom. He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. So 2 Samuel 7:11-13. The Lord wasn't rebuking David for his idea to build a home for him, but actually he countered with an amazing promise for David, a promise that he would have a kingdom that will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever, 2 Samuel 7:16. God has made a really big promise to David there, and it will come true because God has said, but what promises have we made? Anyone like to share? I mean, some that I've said is, I promised to tidy my room. Has anyone made that promise? Anyone made that promise? Yes. I promised to tidy my room, or I promised to keep my room tidy if someone else happens to have already tidied it for me. I make that promise to myself every time the floor next to my bed has disappeared under a pile of clothes, and it takes me ages to fold all the clothes, so long that my Fitbit thinks I've actually been for a swim. If anyone thinks I'm tidy, that's an illusion. No, absolutely not. Then I'll remake the promise again. It's a promise, but I don't keep it. I promise I'll eat all my vegetables. Anyone ever said that one? That's probably me. But I promise I won't say anything. I promise I won't gossip to my neighbour, or I promise I won't gossip at work. We can make promises quite easily, and equally, we can break promises easily, but God doesn't. Sovereign Lord, you are God. Your covenant is trustworthy, and you have promised these good things to your servant. 2 Samuel 7:28. He keeps his promises. Can we challenge ourselves to keep our promises, or not promise things that we know we can't keep? David did not need to do anything now. He needed to rest. We might not know God's plans for us, and it might be that we are here to lay the foundations for someone else to take forward and do greater things for the Lord. That does not mean that we are unimportant. We are part of the bigger plan. In my work, I get to meet and share Jesus to lots of children and young people. And I get to share Jesus with our young people in church. And I absolutely do not take that for granted. It's amazing. And I do look back and think, how the heck did I get here? But that's awesome. But I don't know what God has planned for those children and young people in the future. I don't know what the future holds for them. And I pray that they will go on to do great things for the kingdom, but ultimately that they will know their worth and love in Jesus. Our something small might be something big in others, in other people's eyes, and we need to trust in the promises God has for us, even if we don't know the bigger picture. So David has been told the Lord's promise for him by Nathan. Even though David was the anointed one, God still used others to share prophecy, so to predict or declare something that will happen in the future and shared by God. And what I love is David's response. He went and sat in with the Lord. He went and prayed and he gave thanks, even though what he wanted to do wasn't what God wanted. He thanked and praised God for his promises. He marvels that God has brought him this far. He praises God's greatness and uniqueness. He asks God to fulfill his promises concerning his family and kingdom. Something that we've talked about before is that David is so known for the prayers and the faith and his faith in the Lord. Can we try and take some of that character into our walk? When things all seem too much or something else feels like it's been thrown at us, is our first instinct to pray? Or is it to try and solve a problem first? For me, for many years, my default has always been to try and solve the problem first. And then after, thank God for what has happened, almost as an afterthought. So what I want to do is I want to share a little visual here. So I might need at least 5 hands, but we'll give it a go. So this is a glass of water. So the importance of prayer we're going to think about is that even when we can't or are struggling to know what to say or life is super busy, do we have those friends who we can literally just be ourselves with? People who you are in your comfiest clothes and can sit in quiet. I feel comfy with all you guys, but I didn't think it'd be good to wear my pajamas to come and talk to you all. But I feel comfy with you, and that's great. But that's what we can do with God. We can be sitting in our pajamas and talk to God. He knows our hearts, our inner thoughts. Many of David's psalms are when he was in a really sad time. We don't need to have elaborate words to say. Or for me, if you're just so tired and you have no idea what you're saying anyway, God still understands my garbled prayers. So I have got an egg. It is not boiled or anything, so we'll see. Please don't come and grab the egg off me. So I've got an egg. This represents us. So I'm not saying any of us are egg-like or, personality or anything like that. But we have an egg. And then I'm going to pop it in this water. And because it's a good egg, it has sank. So sometimes life can feel like that. We feel like we're drowning, we're a bit stuck, we don't know what to do, and we just might not feel like God is there. Maybe things are going on with tests or exams at school, or the news is just a bit much, or we're navigating grief or change, and we just feel like that egg. But then we might start to glimpse God around us. Could someone just come and hold this glass up for me so people can see while I do it? John, well volunteered, thanks. Yeah, no, don't drink, especially in a minute. So if you hold it up a bit and then people can see. But sometimes we might glimpse God. So we might see a rainbow. I'll let you do some. Do you want to give it a stir? We might see a rainbow. We might, speak to a friend that we've not spoken to for ages. Maybe someone shows us an act of kindness. Maybe we hear from God, or someone shares something with us that is really special. Or, maybe we hear a new worship song, or a hymn that we've not heard for absolutely years and years, and it takes us back to that time when we first encountered God. Ooh, sorry. No one saw that. Or, maybe one of our prodigals returns back to church. I think that needs a lot of salt. Or someone makes a decision to follow Christ. We're going to really go for that. Okay. So, something big has happened. Then we get lifted up. Please work. Then we get lifted up because God is all around us and God is always with us. So God's love is with us always, even when we might feel like we're alone and drowning like the egg was. Thank you so much. God is always on our side and lifting us up. When we see God in the small things, that delights him and links in with what Helen shared during worship last week and praising God in everything, even in the hardness. So prayer, like worship, is personal to each of us. So if I look back on my journey of particularly prayer, that's been something I struggled with more to connect with when I was younger in my faith. But I love how the Bible helps us so much with these really important elements. I especially love, so we've got in Luke 11, 1 to 13, where we're actually told how to pray, our Father in heaven, so on and so forth. But I especially love the verse, which is a little further on. So verses 9 to 10. So I say to you, ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find it. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. The one who seeks finds. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. Do we maybe sometimes forget this when life gets a bit busy? So Jesus showed us examples of going off to quiet places to pray, but equally he prayed in the busyness of his ministry. And we might all connect in different ways to prayer. We might be able to sit and keep focused for a long amount of time and enter into God's presence and spend a lot of time praying. Sometimes, not very often, I can do that. But other times I feel awful because my mind wanders and I start thinking about what's on the shopping list or have I forgotten to do something. But I personally like to have something to focus on or something to do with my hands while I'm praying, which gives me that kind of attention. So when you came in, you were all given a pipe cleaner. Has everybody got a pipe cleaner? Does anybody need a pipe cleaner? Because I'm not sure when they fabulous. So we're going to do a little prayer activity. So with pipe cleaners. So please watch the ends. They are sharp. Don't stab yourself. Don't poke yourself in the eye. All those health and safety things. So we've got our pipe cleaner. Think of a friend. Make the shape of the initial letter of their name. So hope it's an easy one. Ask God to help and bless your friend. Once you've done that, screw the pipe cleaner into a ball. Watch the ends. I stabbed myself during this at one point and it hurt. Or wrap it round your finger. Think about people who are worried, scared, lonely, or sad. Open the ball out. Ask God to bless and help those people. Link your pipe cleaner with someone else's. Think about people who are lonely with no one to support them. Ask God to help us to be people who see and help them and make them feel loved. Loop the pipe cleaner into a circle around your wrist. Sorry, it's a technical... But first, disconnecting them from the person next to you before you put it into a loop. Think about how God has been with you this week. What would you like to ask God for? Keep the circle around your wrist to remind you that God is always with you. So I really like kind of doing different prayer activities to try and focus my mind. I know they don't work for everybody, but God is with every person who prays. And however you do that, if you do it in silent, you listen to music. But yeah, I just wanted to spend this time just focusing on what prayer is, how we can do that and spend time together and try and find that quiet in the busyness. But God is with us always in the busyness and he knows what we're going through and just, yeah. So Father, thank you for this time to share and for the experiment working. But we just thank you, Lord, that you are with us in whatever we are going to this week, whatever we face this week. You are the constant in our life. Amen.